Welcome back, OGN Legion to LCK Spring 2018. And yes, for some reason we are still in this series because it looked like MVP had all the tools to take things back against KONGDOO Monster against all odds, down 10,000 gold, but then they fed them an Elder Drake and it was over.
Very interesting series. It went one way and then another. The eventual victors are KONGDOO Monster, picking up their second game win in 11 series. So big for them to finally pick up that victory. Big damage out of Seoul, 2 games in a row on the Caitlyn. We'll see if there's a big change-up in the picks and bans for the next game. Your MVP will be Edge, 7-0-7, deathless on the Taliyah.
Yeah, the Taliyah was banned in game number 1 and it looked like it was deserved of a ban in game number 2. Even if the Impale looked good, MVP couldn't get the work done.
The Taliyah roams were on point. The Weaver's Wall often was in a very smart position. The Taliyah damage, not something we were really focused on for the majority of the game, because by the end it was all about AD carry versus AD carry. Would have the more access and be able to kill the enemy frontline faster. Seeing some of the moments we had in this game where there was the pile-on here to actually pick up the Eye of the Herald. It took a long time, and MVP was well behind for almost all the majority of the first 35 minutes of the game. And then it changed, and MVP was in control from a Baron steal and being able to turn around the game, but the hand pass came back. The Elder Dragon number 2 went the way of KONGDOO Monster, and that 5-minute buff was the real difference.
Yeah, just ridiculous. A few casual steals coming in actually out of Raze as well, as wandered over and stole at least one of these Infernal Drakes. But man, I mean, late game hooks coming in from Max looked good. ADD being able to start off the fights right as the Ornn was the way MVP made it back in. A passage of play with the Baron did not look great from KONGDOO Monster. MVP couldn't quite get it over the line.
It was a very close game, and we wonder what will leave the mental state of the two teams. Credit to KONGDOO Monster for coming back from a frustrating game 1. Being able to take game 2, they've been in control of the majority of the series. Feels like it would be robbed if it wasn't to be a KONGDOO Monster series victory. So congratulations to Edge. One of the teams that were immensely nerfed by the Zoe being removed from play was KONGDOO Monster, because Edge proved himself to be one of the best Zoe players we have in the league. Coaches get back in the booth. It's time for game 3, a best of 1 for all the marbles. Will KONGDOO Monster extend their life when it comes to avoiding the relegation spots, or will this be the relegation day, at least the relegation tournament day for KONGDOO Monster?
Yep, every single match from now on is important. This was going to be probably the easiest of the lot. So KONGDOO Monster, they need to win this one. Back on the red side as we hop back into Champion Select. See with the MVP run it back the same way that they did last time. With the Varus ban, that is exactly the case.
Sion ban seems likely, as KONGDOO have banned it on blue and red side so far, and goodbye Sion.
There it is. That was the free one there.
Yep.
I mean, you're a prophet normally, but that one was very free.
I mean, it's not really profits when it gets to game 3 if you're just going to run it back and you think about changes in the draft that might be made.
Well, Taliyah, no, that's not going to be a change from MVP.
The Caitlyn priority is something that I think MVP have allowed to be given to KONGDOO too many times. I feel like the Caitlyn has won lane all 3 times as expected, but Tristana value has been for what, a brief window in game 1 and then not really at all in game 2. So I'd like to see less of the Tristana priority, given the Caitlyn has done so much good things beside a KONGDOO Monster. And we continue on with a complete replay. So if you're asking live or replay, so far replay for game 3.
Yeah, pretty much a replay.
But now we change. Ryze is banned on blue side. There was a Gnar ban in game 1, a big favorite of Roach. Things start to shift.
Yep, Azir could now be a consideration if KONGDOO want to target that one of Ian. The Syndra didn't work at all, even though Ian so incredibly comfortable on that champion, despite not playing it so far this season until last game. Would be the Olaf that they'd lock in if it was going to be a runner back, but no, they are changing to the Azir.
So let's see if Beyond jumps onto Olaf, which has been very high priority for every jungler, and Raze had a great game on it. Not long ago, they decide they don't want to go for the early power. They're going to take the Sejuani, who has the ability to disengage the Olaf better than most of the tank champion pool. So happy to give up Skarner, of course, because Sejuani has a nice matchup into Skarner as well. See if that means Olaf for the side of Raze, who, again, it was a loss on the Olaf, but he looked good on the pick, and they played around the aggression pretty well.
They don't need to lock it in here if they don't want to. They can save it until after Edge. So, well, actually, save it for Edge's pick. Could get something else a little bit more coveted if potentially they want steal away
Problem with
support.
doing that is that then you might be put in a scenario where the enemy locks in a mid laner and says you either answer with a mid laner now or you don't get one. You know?
Yeah, true.
So I think it's smarter to just take it at the pick. So Raze picks the Olaf for himself. Zyra Khan finally hits the rift. So no more of this Tristana nonsense for the side of MVP. They decide to go Zyra Khan. They will respect the Caitlyn more than once again counterpicking themselves with the Tristana.
Not wanting to give priority to the Ornn, which I thought that ADD did look great on last time around. Not opting into that is Tahm Kench, once again, way up there, and it's going to be junglers and bottom lanes for both teams.
See where KONGDOO goes from here. Really want a strong winning side of the map, and Caitlyn early game does represent that unless the level 1 trades go poorly against Zyra Khan. So we'll see where Olaf gets a second lane to play around. You want at least one winning lane, but 2 true winning lanes will be happy times for Raze to start the invade.
Yeah, having a strong lane bottom side for the first time this series as well from MVP. You mentioned double Tristana games, meaning they did sacrifice a fair bit of power in the early game. Now, of course, going to be outranged by the Caitlyn, but the engage potential in from Max and the damage from the Zai in the laning phase.
Continue to be surprised by the Galio bans against MVP, as MVP
weird,
have left it open many times. You look at the comp and you say, man, Galio would fit here well, and I completely agree with you, but they've shown no priority on it, and teams have been creative and getting bonus bans and bonus picks, not having Galio priority on the side of MVP.
And now, Ian's effective champion pool has been banned, basically, as the Corki and the Azir have been taken away.
Is it Ziggs time for Ian once again? Showed us Ziggs in the last series. It left a lot to be desired. So you're right, we may have to see something new from Ian, or the Syndra once again as a rollback.
Yep, could grab that one if he feels like it. Cassiopeia going to be the ban away from Edge, and Syndra's just going to be locked in.
How rude!
So Ian has just been straight ruined by this particular draft phase.
It's definitely an interesting spot for him. Wait and see what he decides to take in the mid lane. Into the Syndra, you could argue a Vladimir could be considered a mid lane Vladimir.
Yeah, I do like having the Sanguine pool.
Because Syndra does have lane control over a lot of laners. So the decision is for the side of MVP.
Okay, Gangplank going to be taken for ADD though, the first time he's slunk through all 10 of the bans. ADD very comfortable on that champion.
Vladimir would also be a takeaway into the Gangplank, because it is a matchup we see happen into GP as well. So let's see what the decision is here for Ian. Going to the extended bench, and okay, here's one he's played before in the Karma, looking to nullify the Syndra. If this is locked in, also gives a bit more inherent tankiness. This does mean that the Karma has to bridge 2 hyper-scaling champions. Xayah really wants 3 items, 2 and a Zeke's Convergence maybe can make it happen.
Yep.
Gangplank all about the later items, so if you get focused as Ian, if you see multiple ganks through mid lane, the Karma doesn't act as a bridge, and the team comp falls apart in some ways, so element risk there in the Karma. Looking for KONGDOO to finally answer with a top laner. It's going to be the Orange. It's going to go for standard as standard can be. Yeah, when it comes to the side, they could have gone to Vladimir to attack the lane, but they already have Raze jumping onto the Olaf. They want to play around the pressure. The Ornn can respond and throw in the ultimate from long range. So while it does mean that Gangplank's likely to have a very happy farming phase, just have to see how it all comes together. To me, the jungle matchup will be the most important. If Raze gets going, and especially if Ian dies a couple of times in the early game, maybe this game is just decided before the items come rolling in for ADD and for Pilot.
Yeah, and also, are we going to see the same kind of Karma that we saw out of Crown? I mean, KSV played around a Karma composition absolutely beautifully earlier on in the week, taking down KT with it game number 3. That was with a Varus. It was a different circumstance, but are they going to be able to get around Pilot the same way?
And of course, we had the counter example of when Kuzan played for the Rocks Tigers and just was chain focused by the enemy team, was taken down multiple times. Definitely eminently gankable here onto the Karma. She's got the speed ups, but one flash goes down. She doesn't have cleanse, I believe. Teleport was being worn, but I'm happy to see Pilot and Max off of the Tristana, trying to make it work, forcing it against Caitlyn. Wasn't working for the side of MVP. Now it's Zyra Khan, and now the playmaking can return for Max.
Yeah. It's So a few options now being handed over. Max has had a great series so far. We saw there's death sentences in game number 2 really working out, trying to claw them back in to the series, and almost did at the very end there. Now game 3 rolling around. We don't know who's going to be able to take it, whether we're going to be playing handball once again, but I'm excited. We have no idea what to expect. Let's get into game 3. All right, we are going to have a slight pause, ladies and gentlemen.
You don't know that. We just know there's a pause. Sounds like Ian's setup on his monitor is off, which seems weird given that he's had the monitor for 2 games in a row and didn't sub in.
Yep. No, he's got different heights for different games. Yeah.
The ruler's out, ready to go.
And they didn't find the win in game number 2, so his head's a little bit more bowed now, so he needs to make sure that it's down just a little bit. We are going to be hopping back into the game very, very shortly, though. As I can see, Ian's not actually touching his monitor at the moment. I'm cheating a little bit.
You are.
Looks like he has completed the setup process.
For future series, we do have a great view of the blue side booth on our side.
Have no idea what's happening on the red side booth at all, unless we were able to have X-ray vision through the floor. See, this is a great experience for me because it's always loud enough to get over my voice if I happen to accidentally talk over the MVP lead.
And there's a KONGDOO Monster superfan. Roach, Raze, Edge, Soul, and Secret. Trying to give them their energy. And there's only a handful of KONGDOO fans, as you might have guessed from the quite meager fan chants. But they are loyal, and they are hoping to see KONGDOO pick up their 3rd match win of the season.
Well, ADD wanted a Kleptomancy proc, but doesn't get one onto Edge. He wanders his way up the lane. Okay. What's going to happen this time? Just not sure. We have no idea. We try and predict these things.
I feel like if we ran down all the things that happened this series, it would feel action-packed because it's been just the most steals, we've seen kills, we've seen everything in the series, but it's kind of been without the rhyme and rhythm we usually follow in the LCK, where we try to talk about controlled aggression and the macro. Everything's a little bit off, which I guess shouldn't be a big surprise in 8th versus 10th place. In this game, because of the draft of the Orin, pretty long leash for ADD to hit those item timings a bit earlier. Roach has gone for the grass. There is still aggressive trades, even though there isn't an ignite like we see in other series, as Ian decides to very early roam to kill a blast plant.
Yeah, nice work. Grabs that blast cone. Of course, does stuff up the jungle potentially if Raze is going for a level 2 gank, means he can't use it to get over to the blue. Instead, actually, he is going to go over towards it.
And he puts the question mark ping of, wait, where's my blast plant at?
Did they actually remove that one too? Like, what's going on, guys?
It does actually delay the speed of the Olaf a little bit, so very amusing little play there.
Genius. See whether Beyond's going to be able to capitalize on it. ADD setting up his barrels.
We have an unsealed spellbook onto Ian. Does have the ultimate hat for even lower cooldown on Mantra and everything else. Pretty standard for the Karma.
Yeah, it's pretty funny actually going for ultimate hat when you don't necessarily have an ultimate per se.
Now, one small thing to mention is that because he's gone for the free boots, does mean Merc Treads won't be as fast against a Syndra, and it's a pretty core rush for basically any mid laner against Syndra. So it might be a little bit more latitude for Raze to find a gank through mid lane. Usually Olaf doesn't want to gank mid lane, it's too short a lane and you can't just spam axes and catch people up in a long lane. But you see free boots being there, or you see the lack of boots purchase early, and maybe that chance happens as Raze spots a ward. Nice early ward, because we've seen level 4 solos of Drakes in previous games with Olaf, so Umti was the Olaf in question that time around.
Yeah, it's cute play so far for MVP, just trying to make sure that Raze isn't exactly where he wants to be. He's going to discover Beyond, I believe. It's Beyond. Oh, he's just going to face check. This could be a disaster. Double buffs. But
nice,
he's going to be able to block. Yeah, no Arctic Assault to try and get him out, as there's Permafrost actually. So Raze, no Ragnarok yet. Just going to soften up the Sejuani.
Some blue pings from the side of MVP, so it's not entirely unexpected. And like we mentioned, Sejuani is more maneuverable than others and has the ability to just turn around and put a single stun on Pre-6 and not to be taken down by the Olaf. But good to see once again Raze and his commitment to the counter jungling on the Olaf.
Yeah, and Raze actually going back, grabbing boots very, very early. You know that Raze has looked his best when he's able to get around the map and get ganks happening in the early minutes of the game. So now with that Predator available, be able to do so. Sol, oh, so much pressure from Pilot there. Even gets the snare.
If Roach's able to freeze the wave topside, actually Gangplank gets stuffed by the Olaf very easily because very low value on the single cleanse effect of the oranges to the axe spam coming through from the Olaf, so you can run down a Gangplank very easily. But for now, just being pushed in, very standard Gangplank things.
Yeah, ADD should be able to set up a pretty high value barrel for these caster creeps as well.
Actually went for Corrupting Potion. Usually we see just the Ancient Coin into the Sheen as the first potion. Might be a gold value thing, but a lot of regen here to try to stay topped up in lane.
Yeah. And I have a feeling it's not really too much of a worry what he's going to build early on. Wants to be able to get to that Trinity Force whichever way he can, and Roach should have control of that lane regardless.
You're wondering about the Ancient Coin instead of what we've seen before, the Relic Shield. Both of the choices are about the Bandit passive on patch 8.4. It's patched out on the live servers in case you're wondering. But the reason why Ancient Coin over the Relic Shield is not necessarily the Relic Shield nerfs so much as the mana cost nerfs, meaning the mana pickups when you get the mana pickups instead of the coins coming out from the Ancient Coin. You actually feel good about getting that extra 10, 15 mana in the early game, keeping your mana refresh. So that's why the swing has happened towards Ancient Coin over the old Relic Shield.
And not to mention it goes up to 5% movement speed as well.
Yep.
You can grab for yourself 10% if you actually upgrade it to the Nomad's Medallion as well.
And you usually do see the upgrade in this new No Tracker's Knife meta because then you have your own mini Sight Stone, you can take a sweeper, and you get extra vision on the map that the enemy's not able to. So this is going to be patched out. We won't have this backup way to get extra vision on patch 8.5, but on 8.4 is definitely a good strategy.
Yeah, it's a cute way to figure it out. So we've got pings coming in beyond. Predator is going to come down onto Raze, but I think they're going to be able to find too much more. Actually, Raze out of the page just a little, as Edge possibly could have locked down Ian for enough time to get a few axes.
Well, you can see there's an adjustment of build coming through from Ian compared to what Crown was running most recently. We're expecting Archangels into something like the Athenes. That was the choice coming through from Crown.
Yeah, he actually had a very supportive build coming from Crown as Beyond turns up on the bottom side, lands the ultimate as well. They're going for Secret, who flashes immediately, and Max gets the knock-up. Pilot's going to be there, but it's Max that grabs the kill. KONGDOO Monster now turning up. A Cannon Barrage is in there. Heal's going to keep Pilot alive so that the ultimate isn't going to register from Engine. Now KONGDOO Monster on the run. It's a nice first blood and well executed from MVP.
And using the ultimate from AD really smartly as well, got them the kill they were looking for. Them snowballing as well. Kill goes over to Max, so not exactly ideal in terms of distribution. But for a team that's really about hitting the spikes on top and bot lane, picking up early gold, getting them closer and closer to a couple of items on the Xayah especially, is good news for MVP.
Yeah, goes back, gets boots and a BF sword here as well. Pilot will be able to make up some of this CS gap that is in there, but 22 is not going to be this minion wave's worth of creep. So Sol this time actually having a lot of control over the minion wave. Been impressed by Pilot's ability on the Tristana to stay relatively close. But this time around, Pilot has been falling behind when it comes to the farm.
But this is just another case of MVP not being willing to first pick or ban away the Caitlyn. And like you say, it's a very nice early CSing coming through from Sol, who used to be the crown jewel of KONGDOO Monster, but you would say has had a bit more of a lane season third time around in the LCK.
Feels like Edge has picked up a bit of that star power.
Do agree. And the early season was all about Raze and his creative jungling parts.
Fortunately, towards the end of the season, there just hasn't been much good to say
No.
about KONGDOO. Now finding their first game win for a very long time. We'll see what momentum can actually do for them. The Olaf pick now for Raze as well does fit what we were talking about, saying that we want to find early power. But so far, First Blood did go over to MVP, so they've got some control. Having it on this bottom side of the map is certainly good, and something that they haven't had for a very long time.
And look at this. Ian is doing it his way. Looks like Luden's going to be the first item onto the Karma.
Wow.
A burst Karma build. Very interesting. Haven't seen this in a while. was something that Crown used to go in situationally when they were low damage. I don't think they lack damage. They want to add an Infernal, though, to KONGDOO Monster.
Yeah, that's going to be KONGDOO Monster picking it up all too easily beyond. It was a cute Arctic Assault, but he's not going to quite make it over the wall. And Edge now is going to use a bit of a disengage scatter the weak.
And a second Infernal again. What is it about the fire in this series? Thought the fiery series would be our second series. SKT look to profit on other teams struggling around 5th spot and put themselves into the playoff consideration. Here in this lower table clash where KONGDOO Monster is desperate to stave off relegation for another day, and MVP still has an outside chance of the playoffs. We've had the Infernals, we've had some weird and wonderful games.
We have.
Probably the broadcast-friendly way of talking about them.
They have been exciting.
That's true.
There is no debating that. They've been exciting games, even if, you know, the level of play strategically has not necessarily been the toppest of notch.
Raze back top lane, just as his top laner gets back into lane. Expecting there to be a ward that they know is not there. There's a control ward down, and it's all in time.
Whoa. Flash was actually used from ADD, but the Brittle, it's on top, and he's just going to die. Raze smacks him with an axe all too easily. That was really confusing interaction with the Flash, but worked out for KONGDOO Monster real nicely.
Yeah, the Flash is on the corner of our screen, so he missed how he couldn't sidestep. The ultimate there needed to, because the Olaf was very close when it came to chasing down, but MVP in all of this, trying to take a turret. They rotate down Ian. See some defensive pings. They know Syndra's on the way, so it won't be first brick turret in the bot lane just yet for MVP.
And Ian actually using that Inspire, speeding himself up, trying to get back to that lane as well. He was also moving down. I wanted to talk about the Luden's Echo start because I do quite like the idea of sort of a mid-game, large amounts of power, massive wave clear karma. Sounds a little bit cute. You can just kill minion waves and then inspire yourself around the map. A little bit of extra movement speed, giving you some mobility maybe.
It's also another take on the issues with the Syndra matchup, because Syndra will have one rotation burst. The thing is, with Luden's, you just walk up and mount your Q her, and she has less than 50% health. So there's the idea of chunking out the Syndra, and like you mentioned, rotating first as Ian.
This bait is pretty cute. Raze biding his time for so long, gets on top of Pilot. He does have the Featherstorm, throws it down pretty immediately, but the Cannon Barrage should slow up, but no, Peacemaker flies through. Soul grabs the kill, and that baiting was pretty impressive from KONGDOO.
I mean, Raze used to be a support, so his bot lane understanding is excellent that he waits for there to be comically long. Most any other jungler would have started the fight already. Then there's no escape for Pilot. He doesn't flash. He would not have lived through it. Follow flash is available for KONGDOO Monster. And now they had the low health turret. Now they have the lane control again. Good news story after good news story. Only good news story for MVP is a gold lead thanks to good old Gangplank in the top lane.
Yeah, I was going to say, Klepto is pretty dumb. Because it is still about a 900 gold lead. Sorry, 700 gold lead, something like that. ADD being forced back a little bit. Spots the orb, knows that Roach is going to be able to take control of this wave.
It's gone Gauntlet, so he has more turret pressure than recent top lane Orans we've seen.
Should be able to slow down the Gangplank a little bit more there as well, like added CC.
The slow chase down a long lane of Olaf and Ornn is now something I want to see onto the Gangplank.
Especially if Raze takes a while to show up. Luden's Echo is now completed for Ian.
And it's actually going to be Edge that goes the defensive choice. So the shoe on the other foot, it feels like, when it comes to the decisions here.
Free shoes for both of them as well, as the Unsealed Spellbook has come in once again. Syndra ideology the same for Edge and Ian. It's very even.
Yeah, it's a very even game. Feels like the mid-game where MVP will be able to trade upon 2 items into 3 items on both Xayah and Gangplank. The Monster, though, still have immense power around the Olaf. It feels where Olaf goes, only good news stories can happen with where they're at right now, and Caitlyn will be no slouch as the game goes on either. He's trying to see if Karma can have the immense value that Crown was able to pull back, as that was his team behind. Then one smart team fight, buffing up Ruler, and the game ended from largely the utility that Karma has. Still unsure how much utility this build is going to include, because there is still the chance of a full AP build coming through from Ian.
Yeah. And Ian might actually just go Rabbidan's Deathcap Void Stuff next or something like that and actually have full explosion. And with Rabbidan's Deathcap now being a little bit better, even the Inspire shields are going to be pretty silly, so It's not exactly something that's going to be lacking all defense. I do love that when you've got scaling shields as well as scaling damage, getting defense for offense with AP. Cannon Barrage going to come in to try and clear out the minion waves.
On level 10, but does end up being able to push out that minion wave.
Nomad's Medallion done as well and has finished the quest, so we've got extra wards on the top side of the map and a Trinity Force now for ADD. This time might get a little bit better now on the top side.
An ADD, very unlikely to be solo killed, should be able to continue to farm up a 24 CS lead, but gold generation hard for an orange to stop. Looking for first rotation in most cases from KONGDOO Monster. Olaf and Syndra can make things happen. Olaf trying to peek into bot lane, but is in a ward.
Yeah, Max lets him know there as well as Gleaming Quill flies forward. Does heal up Pilot there as well with it, so not too bad. He's got a Zeke's Convergence already, by the way.
That's really, really fast. We see some interesting builds in Challenger. I was watching Griffin versus Damwon Gaming, and that was Tristana going for the Relic Shield to get a fast Zeke's Convergence onto a Thresh. And then it was a fast Zeke's Convergence onto an Alistar. So there was very high priority for Zeke's Convergence. So far in the LCK, it's been a Rakan-only item. Speaking of Rakan, could just almost have died there.
That was pretty silly. We're used to seeing Caitlyn doing a gigantic amount of damage because it's been late game Caitlyn. Now at 15.5 minutes, thankfully, no crits to be right down on the face of Max all too often.
Coming later, Atlas, that's for sure.
Yes. We've got
Second
Infernal
Infernal.
Drake, yeah, number 2 being taken. Teleport from MVP is
Everyone's
invested.
coming.
Yeah, Max turns up with it as well. They pick up the aggro, but KONGDOO Monster still setting themselves up. Roach has got a teleport, actually coming from base here as well, so he'll have full health and a bunch of mana. Call of the Forge God should be there, but that's going to be the Dragon going over MVP. They even things out there. There's a flash from Ian. He's just going to die. Massive health bar missing, though, as we've got Pilot doing so much damage. Edge survives somehow. No idea why. Cannon Barrage in the wrong place, and Raze, he's going to freely go back as well.
And in an instant, so many things happened. Raze was unlucky because the Dragon re-leashed as he went to smite, so his smite was off. It became an easy smite for Beyond as a secondary smite. So the answering Infernal goes the way of MVP. With Ian dying first, you would think the utility is gone. This would be a one fight for KONGDOO Monster, but the health trade was immense between the two. So it ends up being a kill for the side of MVP and the Drake, and nothing for KONGDOO Monster.
Yeah, really sad.
Sorry, a kill in exchange for a Drake overall.
So I think it's, you'd probably still be okay as KONGDOO if they can actually get around the map and start pushing their advantages further. You can see Pilot was able to do so much damage though. Ian, the Karma pick, not exactly known for controlling a team fight a lot, but he had extra damage with his Luden's Echo. Merc Treads are done. Fiendish Codex now has been picked up, so we'll see what he turns that into. Still a few options what he wants to go with.
2 items are coming very, very soon for the Caitlyn after the 2 kills have now been picked up.
Wow, you're exactly right about Edge getting chunked down to about half with each of these Mantra Qs.
Still unsure where the Fiendish Codex is going. Still leaving his options open is Ian.
Could be just picking himself up a cup. As we saw Crown grab his item number 1, just wanted a bit of extra damage first, potentially.
So sure be considered. Raze is really aggressive.
Yeah, we're flashing for it on top of Ian. Trying to get a snare, but that's not going to happen. He just mantras up his W and gets all of his health back, and now Edge, he could be in trouble. Ian picks it up all too easy, but they trade it 1 for 1, and KONGDOO Monster have the cavalry arriving from the bottom side. Beyond knows that his bot lane's getting in here as well as Grand Entrance should be available. Max wants to try and find it, but doesn't want to dive a turret as the squishy Rakan. MVP almost get one back after the 1 for 1 in the mid lane.
And we missed what happened because the Abyssal Voyage was channeled. I believe it was interrupted. Could have been cancelled, but I believe it was interrupted. Off screen. Turret very, very low on both sides, which is big for the Xayah Rakan. You'd assume Caitlyn would have a very big turret health advantage. Everyone backs away. Focus on the top lane, which has continued to be a farm fest. Waiting for AD to hit that second and crest it into a 3rd item. And then when the shields start, it may never end for the side of MVP.
Yep. Gets better and better as Max, Gleaming Quill going to keep him healthy. See MVP, they're the ones that got a little bit of free time with that turret. far forward are KONGDOO Monsters. Now MVP want to find Soul, but massive damage on Max, just basically for free.
Trying to bait because Beyond's bot lane, but he doesn't have the Glacial Prisons. I don't really know what that looks like in terms of a gank.
It looks like a piggy walking into the lane after his bottom lanes almost killed themselves in their baiting attempt. Maybe KONGDOO Monster will consider a dive. Soul does walk up quite far. Actually going to try and brute force this one. Secret able to tank it for quite some time, and there we go. First turret goes down on the bottom side. Both of those members able to get some work done. Roach just getting shot by ADD, who's having a great time now that he's got the Trinity Force. Bellows Breath still helping as, okay, Call of the Forge God does come down, gets himself the heal from the oranges, and ADD now calling for the teleport. Cannon barrage in, he held on that for a long time. Quickness comes down, the knock-up's there. No more ram to be thrown at either of these guys, and there it is, ADD grabbing the kill.
Nice baiting there, no ignite to finish off the kill, so he understood there was going to be more orange solo kills on the top side. Ian was roaming up, he can cancel that and come mid lane. He's got a blasting one, so who knows where he's going with this item build.
Yeah, I'm perplexed. Well, we'll see. Just stay tuned, guys, for what Ian's going to be piecing together. Might have been an extra 10% CDR into a Void Star, maybe.
I just want Twin Shadows. That's what I want from the
Oh
Karma.
my god, the dream. Is it Glacial Aug? No, it's not. Imagine if it was Glacial Augment Karma.
No, I'm not going to imagine that. Oh, that's a Shakarez tank Karma special right there.
Sounds amazing.
No.
Hey, we've seen the Glacial Augment Morgana with the Twin Shadows, man.
Not in the
Anything's
LCK,
possible.
we have not. We have not seen that.
Yeah. Okay.
Leave that one to the side.
Boy can dream.
More Mount Mortius is actually picked up by Gangplank. Doesn't want to die instantly to the Syndra. Doesn't want to always rely on the overshield from the Karma.
Helps him against the damage from Roach as well, I guess, if he wants to continue laning up here towards the top side. Ian says no, as he's just going to keep clearing out minions, shoving them forward, keeping things okay. Topside vision, very good for MVP, because now the Baron is spawned 21 minutes in.
Syndra has to side lane through all of this. Not ideal. Syndra, definitely one of the most immobile mages that we see in the side lane. So that's to allow Soul and Secret a safe lane to be in. They're just attacking the Caitlyn, though, and walking up before the trap line could be there. Turns out it gets set up pretty fast.
These creeps are going to be alive for a long time as well, because there's no Syndra. She's going to come in for a flank as Call of the Forge God should be able to get decent value. Does only knock up Max as Pilot's Featherstorm is in a decent position. Now Blade Caller going to get a bit of damage through KONGDOO Monster, but Edge unable to find the stuns that he was looking for. And there's no flash to be taken on Pilot either. Nicely done from MVP to get themselves out. ADD, he's missing his.
Mid lane is trade cleanses. AD flashed through all of that. So that's the only other relevant summoner. And the ultimate is down from Beyond. Remember, Infernal is just about to spawn. We do not want to give this one up. Third Infernal of the game. We've had 3 Infernals 2 games in a row.
Yeah. It's a fiery day. Soul, half health, Secret. Devour is now on cooldown as Ian wants to try and lock him down, but the lockdown's going to come in from Edge. Max takes this as an opportunity to get the quickness through the backline. 3 charms, but he battle dances his way out and they don't kill Soul. Cannon Barrage is doing a bit of zoning, but they're trying to lock down the damage onto Beyond. Inspires there, speeds him up, gets him out. Ian's very low. MVP still going to start off this Dragon.
They still want to contest. They have ultimates available again. Do they, on the side of KONGDOO Monster, it's so fast.
Yeah, that's so much damage. Arctic Assault should be able to get Beyond out, but ADD may not be as comfortable as Max launches his way forward yet again. Ian can't really offer up too much. He can get the shields onto Max and keep him healthy.
Man, Mantra Inspire in the mid game is so powerful with the movement speed and also the shielding, so able to get everyone out of dodge. It's going to be Banshee Veil as the next item here. So once again, a respect item to the Syndra. Double Banshee Veil. Don't often see that after the nurse to Banshee Veil many moons ago.
Yep, Edge just matching what Ian had put together. And I didn't really want to think about Banshee Veil because it's a little bit more boring than the other options that he had, and we're still learning about how people want to build Karma at the moment.
One of those champions that everything has some values. You can go down the support lines, you can go full AP. Again, full tank Karma has its uses in solo queue, especially as a top laner, so has the Kale thing going on where you look at every item and you're like, maybe.
Yep, maybe not quite as great with a Bloodthirster, but we'll see.
You know, I wouldn't want to see my Kale with a Bloodthirster, just to be clear.
No, but you know what I mean. Okay, look, that's the wave clear that we're talking about. That's the difference that you get between mid lane Karma with a lot of AP and what Crown was putting forward, which is just all about making sure his AD carry is doing as much work as possible. We've got the Raptor Cloak done here for Secret, so that Banner of Command, the first one, is going to be coming very soon.
Wait and see which BF sword item AD is going for. Could be arguments for most of them here. Even a Guardian Angel wouldn't be a terrible decision, because then they would get so much value out of the Inspire Shield and could fight earlier. And Infinity Edge would obviously be a lovely pickup as well, so we'll wait and see.
Essence Reaver holds some options.
Definitely.
But just on its own, may not be.
You would expect Essence Reaver and Infinity Edge eventually as a duo.
Yeah. MVP doing their favorite thing, which is clearing out vision around the Baron. Gone now with no Arctic Assault. Almost had to worry there about KONGDOO Monster, but Soul isn't too scary with only 2.5 items.
Roach knows that it's all about making things happen. Teamfight impact for the Ornn, who is being just schooled in terms of gold income because of Gangplank. Is a very relevant thing as Gangplank continues to pile on the gold. He's now ahead in gold. He was behind 24 CS. Last time we looked at the CS numbers there.
Well, Ultimate going to land on a Secret, but mainly just to test his aim by the looks. Special Prison didn't actually do anything, and yeah. You mentioned behind in farm. Certainly not behind in farm or his ability to push forward. It's okay, Secret. He's just going to get engaged on. Grey Health has to be popped, but he is going to stay alive. Teleport coming in now as in comes Ian. Just grabs one off the back end. Great tanking from Max. Gets himself low and gets himself out. And ADD didn't even need to join.
That was really peculiar by Secret. Gave up his whole health bar for seemingly no reason. Was assassinated on the back end by the Karma. In the meantime, AD continues to generate the gold. In this lower damage build, he's going to be feeling fantastic where he is in the game. Just wait until we tab over to the gold and see how far ahead he is.
His piracy has certainly netted him a whole bunch of treasure.
I'm going to guess 2,500 gold ahead of his opponent. And there's an Infinity Edge. That's pretty cool.
Well, I think I'm gonna increase it. I think it's at least 3,000 gold ahead now. He's silly strong.
And I feel like if you draft Ornn into Gangplank, which remember, that's what happened this game.
Yeah.
You're saying, we're going to aggressively play make, we're going to make things happen, because else we know what's the inevitability of the game is going to be. So ADD is now at the position where he's ready to fight. Zeke's convergence into 2.5 items on the Xayah. This is probably the strongest point for this team comp overall, because before Karma really falls away as a threat herself. Gangplank will get stronger, but Karma has the inverse scaling thing going around in terms of damage. We look at the gold, and it ends up being 4,000 gold. So, you know, we were both a bit too shy in giving him the benefit of the doubt.
And we were saying it like it was a ridiculous lead that shouldn't happen. As in goes ADD, this is what the Gangplank doesn't have, and they're going to get the knock-up on top of the Xayah, but there are the shields, all of the options, and Max keeps him alive. Ray's now trying to walk away. Doesn't have the Ragnarok available as there's the Permafrost, and Secret is going to save him. In comes Ian off to the side yet again. And ADD, the barrels are raining down. Edge is destroyed. And the Inspire for them with the Mantra for so much movement speed. They can follow this one up as well. Arctic Assault's even going to connect as Secret. He will be the casualty. Double knock up from Max as Roach is not going to get locked down. Does have the dash to get out. Soul now with no frontline to speak of. MVP will go to the Baron.
What a heroic defense from MVP. It was 3v5 for almost the entire time. They were able to keep Pilot alive. He had his ult. Both summoners had to blow everything. But then the re-engage happens, and KONGDOO Monster had nothing left in the war chest. The Baron has started. It's down to about half health.
Yeah, ADD looking for the flank, but Grand Entrance doesn't connect. Soul flashes before the barrel can go off as, good God, that was ridiculous. Okay, ADD gonna eat some oranges. Back to about full health.
Raze is alive. No other crit items onto the Gangplank, so the reliability of the damage a bit lower.
Yep.
Control. Raze talks about his brother. Back away.
This is probably the happiest wind-up Gangplank I've ever seen in my life, though. Look at him. He's just not a care in the world. Runs super quickly. Has an Infinity Edge. Everything's brilliant. Ridiculously large rods. It will be the Rabbiden's Death Cap for Ian.
I feel like if you get double Infernal, so far we've seen every single mid laner go Death Cap early. Because they're like, why not? Think of the synergy.
Yeah. Ardent Sensor is done here for Max as well, so that's how they're making up for the lack of Ardent Sensor on Ian. It's by putting it over onto the Rakan, who's just ultra, let's build up my Xayah. That's a lot of love right there.
And it's a big improvement on the Tristana games that have been Largely misses for Pilot in this series. The trying to takeaways into Caitlyn's have not worked, but the Zyra Khan playmaking has opened up for Max, who was a bit more stilted in game 1 and 2. A bit of treat to watch.
And this double supportive items, we call it like the stay-at-home dad Rakan build or something like that.
Is that the new skin that Riot's going to release?
Yeah, it's where he's just making sure that Pilot can go and make the
he
bacon.
He starts channeling the recall and says something about coming to like look after the kids or something.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I gotta go home.
It's okay, babe, dinner at 8.
And she's like, I'll be there as she joins. That's amazing.
Oh, it's so good. We have so many great ideas. Some of them get recognized. Okay, well, MVP still looking to try and set themselves up for this Baron. ADD, I believe, looking for a Phantom Dancer is his 4th major item. That'll be really scary. Cooldown reduction maxed out already. The Infinity Edge and the Trinity Force.
Yeah, this is, again, really powerful.
Sorry, no, it doesn't have the Essence Reeve yet. I'm being a bit silly.
Things are looking great. Double Infinity Edge, the amps of the Zeke's Convergence, and the fact that they get multiple value out of the Ardent Sensors, and even the Gangplank could do with some attack speed. Things are looking good.
Oh, yeah.
How can KONGDOO Monster find the pick? Their comp is set up to do it. The Syndra are going to be in a great position of power. A lot of it was about takeaway, and you have to say that Ian had one more trick up his sleeve, and so far the Karma has fit the game really well.
Yeah, we saw that it worked well in the hands of Crown.
It's been a long time since there's been a Karma mid lane meta, but remember, games are shorter, so theoretically, drop off in the ultra late game is less likely, even though we've had an ultra late game in this series.
Yeah. Now Secret is able to at least get some vision back over on the Baron, but KONGDOO, you could see, not feeling very confident to take down the Mountain Drake or to at least contest it against MVP. Remember, this is do or die for KONGDOO. They've got to be making the decisions to try and get themselves a victory, but they're just bleeding objective after objective.
The disaster is they need Ornn to start a fight, but Ornn also needs to answer the Gangplank, and he can't do that very well, but he's the only person set up to do so. So when it comes to lane assignment, there's kind of only bad news for the side of KONGDOO Monster. They need to actually wait for a true objective to be forced, like a Baron, and Baron damage starting to get inordinately large on the side of MVP as they continue to pile on items. Death Cap going to be complete now.
I really like it from Ian. There's so much very fast wave clear. As Rabin's Death Cap, yeah, is complete. His Pilot's also got a lot of wave clear. They just create minion wave control very, very quickly and then can move to their favorite thing, which is milling about the Baron. But if someone ever goes down and has some time with the minion wave, they've even got access to triple teleport if they want it.
Max AP build is also going to be the max shield strength on a full team, but in this game, relevant for on a single person. If Edge goes for the Unleashed Power, they have an answer. Looking at the gold, and it's getting disgusting now.
Oh, God. Okay, close to the old 6,000
He's
gold
almost
lead.
a Tahm Kench ahead. He'll probably get to be a Tahm Kench ahead in gold.
Yeah, he's more than double the Tahm Kench as well. And of course, supports don't make a lot of money, but that's still stupid. 2.5 minutes into this game, and he's got a Phantom Dancer. That's a full build if he wants to keep his Nomad's Medallion. No worries. If only Talisman of Ascension still existed. But it doesn't.
Here's ADD, the raid boss himself on the screen, walking up. No Flame Horizon yet, but who knows, that might still happen.
Yeah, being able to kill minions isn't even all that relevant. Just needs to make sure that he's using his barrels to do so whenever he does. A bunch of work. Okay, Ian should be able to help clear out this minion wave, and getting time with a turret is a tough thing to do. KONGDOO Monster.
Got a wave clear.
Yeah.
As the overshield. See, AD from the Caitlyn is still going to be doing some decent damage because no armor in the build, but Ian can walk up again. Let's see if the neutral objectives can be just as important as they were in the previous games. We've seen throws one way and the other, from misfires around a Baron and specifically the Elder.
All
right.
Okay, the Nuclear Strike Karma working out quite well against Sol in the mid lane, and they're going to lose the top lane outer turret. MVP playing this Baron game so slowly but surely. It's winning the game because the inner turret was taken on the bottom side, then outer casually grabbed on the top side.
Speaking of casual.
Yeah, this is so much damage available as well as ADD off to the side. They are going to see exactly what's going on. In goes Max, but that's going to get it over the top. That one was close as the flash from Raze almost gets him in there, but no opportunity to smite And it comes in from beyond. That was definitely a 50-50 though, and not as clean as MVP would have wanted.
It definitely almost undid 33 minutes of good work with the Baron take because they thought they could interrupt, but it's the Olaf with Flash. He's going to get into the pit one way or the other. Doesn't actually get the steal. KONGDOO Monster be frustrated they can't pick up a buff to buy a bit more time. That time is going to be desperately needed. As soon-to-be 6-item Gangplank is going to walk up with all of these overbuffs with the Baron buff as well. Close to a 10,000 gold lead. There's not enough items on the side of KONGDOO Monster to turn around a normal fight.
Yeah. Ian now as well, he's got a blasting on to augment the rest of his items, so it could be a Void Staff coming in for full battle karma. And as we saw, you land a Mantrid Q onto Sol. I think once he's got that, it's going to be a problem. It's called the Forge God. Not going to find Ian. Inspire gives you so much movement speed. It's so silly.
He also has a Banshee Veil, and the other person there was beyond on the Sejuani, so not really sure that was supposed to do, and now it's another cooldown they don't have to respect as they push forward.
Yeah, a little bit overly excited as Pilot. He's getting sped up. Thrown in here. Trapline is down. That's going to be the stun onto Pilot. But you can see all of these shields. He's now got the Ardent Sensor there as well as that Battle Dance flies forward from Max. So he can just rinse and repeat. Doesn't matter if he's just playing frontline. Should be able to keep him alive.
Still feels tense because we've been in positions similar to this, and the team in the lead haven't been able to stick it.
There was never MVP that was in the lead.
True. Elder Dragon is a very nice fallback objective when they will still have Baron for around 40 seconds. The fight is to break out.
Double Infernal Mountain as well will be that Elder.
And a double Control Ward if you don't mind.
Oh, that's scary. Yeah, those Qs are starting to really hurt.
714 AP for the Karma. That's a big number.
Yeah. And he's got a 14-second Mantra cooldown, given the ultimate hat. Because remember, you can start stacking that up from level 1.
You can. Ultimate Hat on the Abuse Champions is very powerful. Corki also gets a lot of value from it because rockets
get
on a much shorter cooldown, and there's such a long cooldown at level 1 that it helps your laning phase a lot. As MVP taxi over this minion wave, they would love to break the base before the Elder spawns.
Yep, ADD having a great time at the top side of the map as Raze has to be eaten. And now he's not going to be able to be anywhere near this fight. He's irrelevant. It's 3 versus 4. And this tower is not long for the world. Pilot does so much damage. He's having the greatest time. His husband in Rakan has just been a great guy. Give him all the options that he would ever want. And Ian, you know, he's got a best friend here as well who's also helping out.
You just watch a game like this and you think, maybe it's time for FLICKR to jump back onto the mid lane Karma. Allow Bang, who's had a good season, the chance to run around and go back into the old Lulu Lucian days.
I think he actually has the highest KDA, in fact, in the league at the moment.
He does.
Was Peanut for a little while, but not anymore as KONGDOO Monster moving themselves down. Full vision available from MVP, but not for long. That Rift Scarlet is going to go down, but MVP, they have all of the control because ADD, it's just a matter of time before he just takes the base of KONGDOO if they're going to stay in this 4v4 dance.
But you're so damned if you do, damned if you don't. You can't do the 1v1 top lane. You lose the 4v4. They're owed for shields. The Xayah, insanely powerful. Only bad news for KONGDOO Monster in the game that will push them to relegations if they lose.
Yeah. So depressing to be a KONGDOO Monster fan. Still, they have a chance to save themselves in that relegation match, but they're not even going to find ADD with that one. He eats some oranges, he's going to be K'd. There's the re-engage Cannon Barrage. So much damage into the backline. Sol just dies as an afterthought as Raze thought he was flanking, but actually he's just given food to MVP. They're going to break open the base on the top side as well. Inhibitor's going to go down. It's a 15,000 gold lead, and Papa, I think that's all she wrote for this one.
My eyes were so dilated from that damage, I thought they were going to fall out of my sockets. There's so much damage from the Gangplank and the Xayah. Speaking of damage.
What? Okay, yeah. Yet again, another option, and this should be the ace as Roach. He's trying to walk away, he's pretending to be a tank, but let's be real, he isn't one of those. The last Nexus turret goes down, and Pilot will have a very quick job to do on this Nexus. MVP, they managed to take down KONGDOO in the end.
And they make the one adjustment of stopping the Tristana priority, going Xayah and Rakan, and it was business as normal. That's the MVP performance we're looking for 2 games. Felt like history was no longer going to be relevant in this series because MVP had been so wayward in the early game. If you look at time spent in a lead or in control of games, it felt like KONGDOO Monster were closing in on an hour's worth of play in the lead. But then in this game, MVP from the start, they stick to landing, they reinforce the bot lane, play around Pilot, who has been one of their big good news stories in the second round robin, and well-deserving victory for MVP guarantees KONGDOO Monster the relegation playoff that so far they've never been able to survive.
Yep, and the one strategy that KONGDOO went for, which was pinch the Ian, just straight up didn't work. Even the Karma was impressive. At certain points into that game, just felt like the composition was more cohesive. For MVP, KONGDOO trying the denial strat and then finding themselves with a composition that didn't quite work for them as the game moved forward. But yeah, we talk about build up the Pilot, give him all of these supports. Let's talk about ADD. The guy was a monster on the top side. He was getting shoved in, he was behind 30 CS, and then it didn't matter.
And that's because the Ornn needs to be proactive with any lead or early item purchases, knowing the inevitable turnaround is always there in a Gangplank versus tank matchup. That didn't happen. The Ornn wasn't able to keep him accountable or make the plays around the map. In fact, the Ornn ultimate accuracy was a bit of a bone to pick with Roach's play in the late game. So in the end, ADD and the rest of MVP can celebrate because they do keep their mathematical hopes of making it to the playoffs alive. They now once again separate themselves from the bottom two. Relegations doesn't seem to be welcoming MVP for a second season in a row. They've been able to avoid and get past a very rough early game or early part of the season. And MVP push on, fruitful and hopeful of what can happen in the rest of these 2 weeks.
Yep, it's going to be impossible for them to go up against lesser opposition though, given KONGDOO Monster's current standing. It's yet another match in a row that they haven't found a win. I mean, you can talk about the fact that they won a game, but with 10 match losses in a row before this, it's just a disaster. And there's ADD's damage. 30k. Game didn't even go that long. It's the shortest one that we've had so far in this series, 38 minutes. Man, the barrels were ripping through Roach.
And if you told me that was gold earned, I believe you as well at 29,000. Such was his happy time, getting every bit of gold. Bandit, Klepto, every gold generation thing. He took an advanced loan, he got in crypto early, and he was ready to go on the gold. Happy times for the gang, but happy times for MVP. It's been nice to see this team, who's always had a good fan group in Korea and also around the world because they have stuck around to their identity. They've got those left of center champion pools as well. They pick up the victory, a clean one finally in Game 3 after a couple of wayward games, and we'll see who the MVP will be for this final game.
Yeah, still a few options here, but it will be ADD up towards the top side of the map. Held on just right, and then was a driving force. The happiest Gangplank ever after those 3 items came in, and so well deserved because he's got on the Gangplank and had great performances in games that they've lost. Even this time, finally, he's okay.
Even had the Gathering Storm. Maybe he's unhappy didn't hit 1,000 AD in this game. But ADD had a great performance on the GP. A bit too easy for me. Again, it should have been a bit more pressure from the Ornn. They weren't able to get that. And even the Cannon Barrage in the early game gave them some good options.
Yeah. I felt like this was where KONGDOO Monster were focusing on the bottom side, once again trying to get Soul ahead. When, like you say, meant that they sacrificed the Ornn to just let the GP scale up. They even managed to get this teleport gank. I actually forgot about that one as well from Max. That was really cute. Gave ADD even more power.
I swear they were 3v5. Surely you can kill Pilot, but no. He lives with all the extra shields. They zone out with the Gangplank ultimate there, and then Karma and GP come in. Clean up a couple of kills as well. Nowhere for Edge to go. And then, by the end, of course, it was the sheer gold lead. Nice sidestep from ADD into the turret there. And then the damage I mentioned, it was huge.
Just bonkers. No better way to describe it. I think Sol went down whilst he was being devoured by his friend as well. That was just too much. And Raze, I mean, that would be flank timing if the game was even. But that was actually just run in and give his life to the opponent timing at that particular point. So it's going to be ADD. And now it's going to be interview time as well. It's not many times that we actually get to have a chat with MVP, but it's been more recently. So let's hand it over to Joel to get some translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Joel with your interview translation for today. We're here with Team MVP with not many games left remaining. They really needed this win, and they do get it in a 2-1 fashion against KONGDOO Monster. And we're going to be here with one of the most valuable players of this team for the series for the interview.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Joel with your interview translation for today. We're here with Team MVP with not many games left remaining. They do get it in a 2-1 fashion against KONGDOO Monster. And we're going to be here with one of the most valuable players of this team for the series for the interview. 네, 함성 소리가 뭐 엄청납니다.
The yelling is quite out the levels, and
파일럿 선수
sure that means a lot to you guys. Pilot, you had a really strong struggle throughout the series. How'd you feel about the game?
오늘 진짜 중요했거든요.
Today was really, really important for us, and if we lost this one, then relegation could have actually been an option for us. And just getting to sleep yesterday was kind of a struggle in itself, and we're really happy that we got the win today.
승리에 또 큰 역할을 해줬기 때문에 좀 마음의 짐이 덜지 않았을까 생각이 드는데 에듀 선수는 오늘 경기
You do have ADD. How do you feel about the games?
제가 이제 원래 상암에서 약간 컨디션이 안 좋은 경기가 많았는데
I always kind of had this disbelief when I played in OGN. I always don't have the best of games, but I feel like today was kind of the day that it really got rid of all of that misbelief about what OGN means to me.
얼굴로도 지금 나타나고 있습니다.
아 그리고 감독님 뭐 제가 경기 전에도 살짝
Of course, we're here with the coach as well, and we knew that you told us that if you guys lost the game, the entire team was gonna go shaving their hair, just like kind of the signature move of a losing team.
사실은 지난 시즌 때 진짜 힘들었을 시기가 있었는데
I mean, last year we remember that we had a really tough season that we had to come over, but it was definitely a kind of a dedication I had to myself that I was really motivated to really just do all I can to get these guys a victory.
뭐 머리를 지키고 싶은 건지 다들 너무 잘하시더라고요.
But I think ever since I told the guys that I think they really wanted to keep their hairs, that's why I think they played to their potential and really got themselves a win they needed.
본인이 좀 의식하고 있었어요 그런 것들을?
Were you guys aware of that situation when you're playing?
동기부여가 됐나요 실제로?
좀 많이 의식하긴 했는데
I think it was a heavy motivation to the fact that I wanted to maintain my hair, and I think it allowed me to get a little more nervous. That got me the adrenaline to play a little bit better today.
오늘 세 경기 다
이거 효과가 확실한데요?
I think this has a great effect on teams that need to pick up some wins here, but how do you feel about that?
경기를 할 때 이 세 번째 경기를 할 때 이제 1대1 된 상황이
It was a 1-to-1 situation when we were went to game 3, and I thought about my hair just disappearing, and again that was a motivation for me to play well in game 3 and win that one.
1라운드와 2라운드 MVP 전혀 다른
And we always say this, that round 1 MVP versus the round 2 MVP is such a different team. Where what do you think about that proposition when it comes to such a kind of a bipolar situation regarding the results of 4-team MVP?
많이 터져가지고
I mean, my top lane when I was playing at top, it really did come apart many times in the first round robin, but
보니까 다 오른한테 솔킬 당했어요.
it just seems like every time I had that kind of a falling apart situation, it was against Ornn, and I feel like learning how to play against that champion was kind of important for me to keep maintain my lane.
파일럿 선수에 대한 칭찬이 굉장히 많아요.
And a lot of people, including the members from MVP, do have a lot of compliments for Pilot regarding your recent performances. How do you feel about your performance right now?
해외에서 생활하다가 왔잖아요.
Yeah, I have played away from Korea,
선수들이 아무래도 좀 많이 부족하다 보니까
and people do say that I was in a kind of a leadership state where being the Korean player, I had to give a lot of tips over to the other players over there. But now I'm back here at MVP, and
사실 그 맥스 선수랑 제가 팀에 합류한 지 얼마 안
of course not having joined the team for a very long time.
완벽하다고 생각은 안 하는데
And we felt like I was just trying to build up the chemistry between me and Max for most of the first round robin, and I think it took some time to get that to perfection, and we're kind of definitely getting there with the recent games.
본인이 좀 많이 배운 것 같다라는 겸손한 말씀까지. 실제로 재밌는 기록이 있는데 파일럿 선수가 LCK에서 펜타킬을 가장 많이 한.
And we also have a statistic that you, Pilot, have the most pentakills in the LCK history.
이제 프리시즌까지 합하면 4번. 맞아요.
Including all the preseason games, it does equal out to 4 pentakills in your career.
네, 3번.
1등이더라고요.
네, 잘 모르실 줄 알았는데 또
We thought you wouldn't be aware, but you seem very aware of that statistic.
오늘 경기 이야기를 좀 해볼 필요가
But let's talk about the games just a little bit.
거의 뭐 계속 불리한 상황.
And the first game was really against you guys for majority of the game, but somehow you guys got the win by winning out that team fight at the very end.
아니요, 사실 솔직히 그 오른 상대 팀에 오른이 있어가지고.
I mean, the other team's Ornn
템이 밀리네.
was a situation where even in the late game we knew that our items were going to be disadvantaged compared to the other team, but you know, we kind of pulled the team fight and hopefully that we won, but we really did get that big win. And let's look at one of the highlights here of what we're talking about here. This the decisive team fight here where they did get the victory in the end after winning this one. Did you feel like you were going to win out the team fight at any moment during this? The Alistar did go down very much, the first champion to go down, but the other teammates held up very, very well, and you know, I felt like my damage was definitely up there during that time phase, so I just went in a little bit more aggressive. And it really was a kind of a connection point throughout all the games in this series that Infernal Drake was very much apparent, appearing so many times in today's series. I mean, today's Infernal Drakes were very much welcome because both our teams had a very much a late game comp, and whoever got more of those dragons really got us a big power spike near the end of the game, so really was dependent on the objectives today. And for the coach, after losing out game 2, it seemed like Beyond was pretty expressive in front of camera and how he was trying to express his own opinions. I mean, there was a miscommunication in many circumstances between mid lane and jungle, and I think Beyond definitely was aware of that, and he wanted to definitely get that across without any, no beating around the bushes, and it was all about getting that communication straight, which was really what we needed in game 3. Just all those things that still we need a lot of improvement on, but I think just for game 3, it's something that was very much needed. I think that was very expressive in the way he kind of told that out to his teammates. Game 1 and Game 2 was really a back and forth action. Was really close between the two teams, but Game 3 was a very much different picture in the way that you guys were more dominating in the way you finished that. But what was the kind of the sudden change in the strategy that you guys went with? You know, we realized that winning the Caitlyn bot lane and pushing out the lane so much that the Infernal Drake becomes so free was kind of the decision that we were gonna go for, and the strategy that we were standing behind. And that was the kind of what got us the kind of the easier win in game 3 on that one. Of course, we do have another highlight prepared for game 3 that we can look at. Of course, the power level was very much a deciding factor that ended up in this fight here. I mean, ADD, if you have gameplay this strong, does this game make the game a little more comfortable? I mean, if you just leave the Gangplank alone during his laning phase, it just gets stronger than the other top lane, and that's going to be confirmed, and you just have to bother it the entire game, and I wasn't bothered as much, and that just allowed me to be a lot stronger than any of the other teammates from the opposition. Let's look at the remaining games for MVP. We do have FLICKR, KT, and SKT for the remaining games for Team MVP. But any words you have for the remaining games ahead? We want to improve on a playability level, and we want to just perform a little bit better more than anything. And just for the fans that are always coming out to cheer for us, we're going to try to give back by giving you guys positive results. ADD, anything you'd like to add on? And first round robin was kind of a failure in altogether, and we wanted to improve on that. I think we're definitely heading there, and we're just working hard to get better, and just practicing is all it takes. And we're gonna get better results for you guys coming out to cheer for us. Coach, anything you'd like to add on as well? We're definitely not away from relegations altogether, and we do need a few more wins to get that done. You know, with the few important games that are left remaining, we don't know what's going to happen, but
저희가 더 준비를
but we will
깔끔하게 해서
prepare that much harder to make sure that we'll try to lose as least games as we can, try to get best results from the games we do have remaining.
오늘 승리로 더 큰 힘을 얻었을 MVP 앞으로
And that does equal out to a stronger MVP getting that win that they needed against KONGDOO Monster, and we're going to head it back to you guys for the rest of the broadcast.
Thank you very much, Joel. I actually don't think it'll be for the entire rest of the broadcast.
Yeah, please
because
come back for the second
We'll see you
series.
again for the second series. I know this one's gone for a long time, but in the end, as you can see, it was an MVP victory. And I didn't know that Pilot actually has the most pentakills in LCK. I find that an interesting stat.
I'm happy you ended that sentence. I was like, I think you cast the series. Atlas should know who won, but it was certainly the side of MVP. And yeah, confirmed pentakiller. We saw one this season on the Caitlyn. What does it mean? It means, sadly, that KONGDOO, you know, they're in promotions, we'll call it. Relegations is another word I would use for the tournament they'll be in, but unfortunately they will have to battle with the two best teams from Challenger. Who will they be joined by as BBQ Olivers? Unless they start winning, it's looking like that team, as right now they are 2 series behind Safety.
Yeah, and MVP represents that safety as well, looking a little bit better, but now you're going to see BBQ up against SK Telecom, and if BBQ can win this, we could have some very interesting times in the standings as well.
A lot of fans joining us late, wanting to see SK Telecom, feeling like with their easier strength of schedule, they will make it to playoffs. First assignment tonight. They want to win, I believe with a victory, they will jump into 5th spot, a very tenuous 5th spot, given that other teams and other results are going to be important. But guys, about 20 minutes or so, and SKT need to basically win all their games. KONGDOO Monster MVP next week. The schedule looks good, but you want to start the winning right now.
Yeah, we'll see whether SKT can make their way up towards those playoffs, because then it's going to be them against teams like KSV. It's going to be exciting stuff. We'll see whether they can once again make an amazing gauntlet run. But guys, yeah, 20 minutes, and then we'll be back for more League of Legends action with BBQ versus SKT. Well, break soon. All right, good. Coming up next, SK Telecom T1, BBQ Olivers, beginning of the end. 2018 League of Legends Champions Korea Spring Split.